Alright, you are back with comedian David Boyle, and I'm quitting alcohol. So, get home from work today, and my son is acting a little bit weird, and then I notice he's got I wouldn't call it a black eye, but there's some action going on in his eye. And I'm like, what happened there? And he's like, oh, it must have got hurt fighting. And I'm like, all right, what was the fighting? Anyway, he gets into it, and it turns out my 8-year-old son was fighting 3 10-year-olds today. Thank fuck he knows jiu-jitsu. Anyway, it's still hard for a fucking 8-year-old to fight 3 10-year-olds. He just turned 8 as well, so it's not like he's a mature 8. Anyway, he told the kid 5 times, he said, I don't want to fight, I don't want to fight. And my son's a good kid. He doesn't actually want to fight. I, on the other hand, when I was his age, that's all I wanted to do. Anyway, it turns out this kid is, I don't know if I would call him a bully, but he likes to fight all the other kids. It's not just my son. He fights everyone. And my son used some jiu-jitsu on him today, and he let the kid up 3 times, and the kid kept coming after him. Anyway, my son was a little bit shook. Not really shook, he's just sick of it. He doesn't want to fight this kid, and this kid keeps on wanting to fight him. And I'm not too sure what to do, because I don't want to give him advice from my perspective, what I would do, because I don't want that filtered down to him. He's a genuinely good kid. My advice would be, because my son got him into mount, so my son was on top of him. And once you're in mount and you know jiu-jitsu, you're fine. And this kid doesn't know fucking jiu-jitsu, so it doesn't matter. And my son was like, I didn't want to put him in an arm bar or a figure 4 arm lock, because he's still kind of my friend, and I didn't want to hurt him. And my son got off him and came at him again. So my normal advice would be, next time you're in mount, which is just, my son's basically sitting on his chest and the kid can't do anything. For those of you who don't know jiu-jitsu, my normal advice would be, when you're in mount next time, smash the kid's face until it's a bloody pulpy mess. But that's me passing down anger and hatred to another generation, and I didn't want to say that to him. So I'm like, you know jiu-jitsu, so you have to make the decision what you want to do. If you want to go tell the teacher, tell the teacher. If you don't want to fight and he still fights you, it's your decision. You'll have to make your mind up. And he's like, I just don't want to go. It wasn't actually school. It was this after-school care shit. And I was like, well, that's not going to happen, because I don't want you being scared of these things. Then what happens? You're just running away for the rest of your life, yeah? We'll figure it out. Maybe I'll finish a little earlier on Friday and I'll come pick you up and I'll sort something out. And he's like, okay. And so I put him to bed and I spoke to my wife. I'm like, yeah, maybe I'll take half a day off on Friday and I'll go pick him up and sort it out. And she's like, what are you going to do? What's your plan? And I'm like, oh, I was just going to find the kid and say, if he ever touches my son again, I'm going to find his dad and stomp his fucking face in. I'm going to kick the living shit out of your fucking dad if you lay another finger on my fucking son, cunt. I don't care who the fuck your dad is. I don't know who your dad is, but I'll fuck him up, all right, in front of you, causing permanent trauma, damage. And my wife's like, you're what? I'm like, yeah, I'm just going to fucking say I'm going to kill his dad. What else? What would you do? And she's like, you're not going anywhere near the school, all right? And I'm like, I will be, and I will be threatening this little cunt's dad, because these are the ones who need the fucking lesson. It's the parents. And I'm more than happy to teach a couple of fucking these parents a good fucking lesson. And then my wife was like, well, what if this kid has 2 mums? Because that's about 50% possibility at the fucking school my son goes to. There's a kid who has 4 mums. I don't know how the fuck that works, but this kid has 4 mums. I don't even know the logistics of that. What the fuck is that? But he legit has 4 mums. I've met 3 of them. I just want to kick a parent's ass. That's all I want to do. I just want to kick the fuck out of a parent just as payback for the shit parenting every parent's doing. Knowing my luck, the cunt's dad's probably a fucking bikie. I'd still go through it. What, I'm going to back out in front of my son? If it's a bikie, all I'll do is rear naked choke, and that's the end of it. I'll be like, all right, that's it. We're even. Anyway, my son's going to kickboxing now. 2 days a week, kickboxing. Because jiu-jitsu only gets you so far. Like when you're fighting in the street, you need a little bit more than jiu-jitsu because it's concrete. Unless you jump on someone's back and you just choke them out immediately. When there's like 3 involved, it's a bit hard to do jiu-jitsu. So you want to be learning some roundhouse kicks to the head, some liver kicks, some teeps straight down the middle in the solar plexus, a couple of elbows to the eyebrow. You know, some shit little cunty 10-year-olds won't be expecting. Anyway, I've got to work out how I'm going to deal with this. I've got to put some thought into it. What I really want to do is just tell my son to put him in an arm bar and break his arm. That's really what I want him to do, but I don't think that's going to help. I actually like the way he said, I don't want to fight, I don't want to fight, I don't want to fight. I'm pretty proud of him for that, but anyway, it's just another thing you have to deal with after fucking 12 hours waterproofing. I just wanted to chill. Anyway, fucking it's Monday, another Monday. Fuck Mondays. Are they ever good? They're rarely good. Anyway, you know what time it is. It's Boyle time. So I don't really even want to do the spiel because I've got to be in bed shortly. So just send me in and ask Boyle. You know where it is, boylecomedy.com. Also, join the Patreon. Thanks to the people who've been signing up. Thank you very much. I know you're trying to get me out of the tunnel, and I promise I'll be out of the tunnel soon. And every single subscription is helping. So thank you to everyone who's signing up. Patreon link is so much for no spiel. Patreon link is at boylecomedy.com as well. Anyway, let's get to this week's Ask Boyle. So this week's Ask Boyle was sent in by a long-time listener of the podcast, supporter of the Patreon, Elliot T. Waters from Newcastle, Australia. So here is Elliot's question. I have 2 questions. Well, 2 questions. And it's all to do with hangovers and all the shit that comes with it. So, what is the worst hangover you've ever had from a mental health point of view? What was the worst hangover you've had physically? Or was it all the same time, mentally and physically together? Well, Mr. T, you have come to the right place. Fuck, I've had some hangovers in my time. I've had some absolute fucking ball-tearing hangovers. So fucking hell. A few stick out. A few really do stick out. The first time I was in Thailand, I was in Chiang Mai, and I went wild on the fucking buckets. They were pouring in fucking those little bottles of Red Bull. I was just drinking bucket after bucket. And the next day, I forget how many days I was drinking for. I think it was like 2, maybe 3. I was drinking the whole time, but like that intense part of the bender. But the next morning I woke up and I was violently ill, like throwing up in the toilet. It was kind of like a hole in the ground toilet, and I was lying on the dirty shitty floor for it must have been 8 hours I didn't leave the toilet for. I was poisoned. It felt like I was going to die. I honestly felt like I was going to die. I was dry reaching and hurling so fucking deeply and intensely. I thought the veins in my head were going to erupt. It was so fucking brutal. I had to stay 2 extra nights at that hostel. I was meant to check out that day and fucking go somewhere else. I forget where, but I had to stay 2 extra days. I had to stay that night. I can't remember when I fucking managed to get back into my room, but I did. And I had to stay the next night as well because I needed to let the booze wear off. The hangover fucking wear off. So that was one that sticks out. Another one that sticks out was after drinking with my auntie for like 72 hours. It was at my nana's place in New Zealand, and I was feeling good until I stopped drinking. And when I woke up that morning, I was in all sorts of pain. I was fucked, completely fucked. I spent 8, 9, 10 hours thrown up in my nana's toilet. My auntie, who drank drink for drink with me for those 72 hours, she was fine. She had no problem. She jumped in the car, picked up her boyfriend. Like, she was cool. She was fine. Me, on the other hand, I was fucking wrecked. Just one of those ones where you're like, fucking, this is unsustainable. Like, I'm on my knees drooling bile down the front of my fucking shirt in my nana's fucking toilet. She has like that high chair fucking toilet seat thing. I'm going through that. It's just embarrassing. My wife's like, it was fucked. So that was another one. I'd probably had several of that intensity, but there was like a little bit extra because it was at my nana's place and all that sort of stuff. And my auntie was fine. So I was like, I'm a loser. You know the drill. Even the one thing I thought I was good at, I suck at. These are just the ones that fucking stick out. So another one that was just an all-timer, like I thought I was going to die. I went to Bali for my friend Cal's wedding. This is, how long ago would it be now? 9 years ago. And the first night we get there and I go on a fucking tear, an absolute tear. I'm drinking everything. I think it was like a 2-day, 2-night bender or something like that. But I'm drinking like Iraq, the fucking poison shit. And I'm smoking darts like they're going out of fashion. I'm just getting it done. The next morning I woke up like convulsing. Fucking hell. My wife was there as well. Like, everyone was staying in the same hotel. Like me, Gav, a couple other people. My wife was in the room with us. Cal was over all the time. Everyone was still doing their thing. And I was in the hotel room. I couldn't get out of I was violently sick. Like, it felt like I was vomiting so hard. I honestly thought my heart was going to pop. Like, it was a fear. Every time I went to throw up, the fear that my heart would pop was in my mind. It was just fucked. Jesus Christ, these hangovers were the worst. But I'll tell you what, the worst hangover I ever had was, mentally and physically, was the last time I drank. That was a full 7-day hangover coming back from my mate Jake's wedding in Broken Hill and going to work without the sleep, the drive back from Broken Hill, then just coming off the booze as well. Like, I couldn't have any cheeky drinks, like even 2 days in, 3 days in or whatever. I didn't sleep that night because I had the DTs and I was like hallucinating. And I was just sweating it out. Like, I had the shakes and shit. It was fucking brutal. And just mentally that week, it was the worst. The first 2 or 3 days, it was I thought I was going to die. And then day 4 was just a deep, deep depression. The depression was there for the first 3 days as well, but the fear of dying was overriding it. But then the fear of dying sort of dissipated ever so slightly, and the depression was able to rise to the surface. And then you're just trying to rebuild yourself in your head over these 7 days. And that's when I came to the realization. I was I just have to start from zero. I'm zero, okay? I just have to rebuild from zero. That was the worst one. That one sort of gave me inspiration to continue to be sober, because whenever I was having a little fucking struggle, I'd think about how hungover I was for that week, and I'm I never ever want to feel that again. There is absolutely no fun that can be had that is worth that week hangover. Although those 3 or 4 days in Broken Hill were fucking fun. But still, the juice ain't worth the fucking squeeze. Mentally, that was probably the worst one, but these are just off the top of my head. There was a million where I woke up and I didn't know what I'd done, and my wife was pissed at me for something, and then I find out what it is. I'm why hasn't she divorced me yet? There's an infinite amount of those. I can't even remember half of them or all of them. There's just too many. So those ones that I told you, yeah, they really stick out. And fucking, I tell you what, I never, ever want to feel like that again. Mentally, physically, just yuck. Fuck that. It ain't worth the squeeze, that juice. Anyway, thanks for the question, Mr. T. That'll do for tonight, and I'll see ya the fuck later.